Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
The Sixers obliterate the Cleveland Cavaliers. We are obviously going to discuss Ben Simmons. We will talk about Mike Scott and other things that happened in this basketball game. But just know, right from the jump, I need to let you know that there is a big difference when playing the Cleveland Cavaliers and playing the Toronto Raptors, or playing the Utah Jazz, or playing the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics, the Houston Rockets, you name it. I'm happy that this happened. I'm excited for Ben Simmons because I think he took a step in the right direction. I'm thrilled that the Sixers handled business and that this wasn't a 3-point game against arguably the worst team in the NBA. Like, I'm excited that they went out there. It was a 40-point blowout. They had to go deep into the bench early in the game. I'm happy. I'm thrilled as a Sixers fan. But that doesn't mean I can't take context out of this. There's context involved with this blowout. It was against a horrible team, and because this happened, it doesn't mean that, well, they can do this against the Toronto Raptors. Well, no, because the skill level on the other side isn't even close. But once again, it doesn't mean I'm disappointed in the outcome. Both can be true. So before we talk more about this, I need to let you know about the promo code BROADS that I have that you can use at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your total purchase. You could put that money towards parking. Boom, don't worry about it. How easy is that? Use the promo code BROADS today. So we're going to start with Ben Simmons. It was a magnificent game out of him. He was super aggressive, going hard to the rack, dunking the ball, taking jump shots. He had the post-up fadeaway jumper. He had the three-pointer wide open, and it was smooth, no hesitation, good-looking form, catch and shoot. It was good stuff. All around, he was electric. Now, here comes the conversation. Whoa. Because Joel Embiid's not in the paint, look what opened up. No. I'm not buying it. I'm absolutely not buying it. Ben Simmons can work with Joel Embiid on the floor. It's a mentality thing. He needs to have that mentality against every single opponent. That mentality will work with or without Joel Embiid on the floor, because I've seen that mentality work with Joel Embiid on the floor before. I love Ben, and I hate that I have to say that every time I criticize him. I'm excited that Ben Simmons did this. But it bothers me and it frustrates me that he will have this type of performance and this type of mindset against the stinking Cleveland Cavaliers, but it won't show against greater opponents. Do this against Toronto. Do it. Do it against Denver. Do it against Boston. These teams are all coming up on the schedule. This is the type of player that can change this franchise for years to come. I see it. Do it more consistently. Now, I understand that he's not going to have these open looks against better talent. And he's not going to be as explosive to the rim because there might be better defenders involved, and I get it. But he needs to adapt. He needs to find a way. He can't just shut down. Because offensively this year, he has shut down. Now, I hope that this puts him in a position mentally where he knows that he can do this. So he will have confidence to do this moving forward. The first time he hit a three, I said, I need another three. I can't deal with a 10 to 15 game stretch of nothing. Well, that's what we had, and he eventually did it again. Well, do it again sooner. Do it in Toronto. Brett Brown mentioned this after the game. He wants Ben Simmons to shoot the ball from three, minimum of one time a game. And when it comes to free throws, he wants about 8. That's perfect. That's fine. That's fine. Now, one thing Brett said that I didn't like was he's not worried about the 2-point jumper. He wants the 3. I disagree. I mean, I'm the exact opposite. I want to see the mid-range game. Come off of a pick and roll, bang, take a mid-range jumper, just like Tobias Harris has been doing. I want that out of Ben. But I'm not going to be mad if Brett Brown wants 3-pointers because maybe his mindset is, well, if he's going to start knocking down threes and taking at least 1 3 a game, well, maybe that will automatically force him to take a 15-footer because, come on, if you can knock down the 3, why can't you knock down a 15-footer? Maybe that's what he's thinking. But in this basketball game, Ben was magnificent. 34 points in 26 minutes. He was 9 of 12 from the free throw line. By the way, 14 shots for those 34 points. When I tell you, he was dominant. He really was. But you can't just not factor in who's on the other side. The Cleveland Cavaliers are in a mess. In a spot right now mentally that's a mess. They're ready to fire their head coach already because he's too much of a college coach. It's an abysmal situation for those guys. That has to be factored in. I want to see Ben do this against a team that is really good defensively, against a team that the Sixers will see in the playoffs. I don't think that's being too harsh. I don't think that's being too critical. People need to realize where I'm coming from. I'm not taking anything away from this 34-point performance. I think it was great. If you ask me, would I rather him have this or not have this? Of course it's have this. But it doesn't mean there can't be context around it. It doesn't mean that I can't have the itch for more. Because that's what I have. I have the itch for more because I see it and I want more from him because that will take his game to the next level, which can dominate the league moving forward. I will say, though, it looked good. He looked like he was comfortable in all of the jump shots, whether it was the 3, the fadeaway from the post. It looked strong. And he worked on his stroke. You can see it because the elbow used to be all the way out. And it's not like it's all the way in, but there has been a transition with the elbow. And it all comes down to the form and everything surrounding it. It's been way better. I need to see more out of Ben Simmons. I think that is fair criticism. Brett Brown put in Mike Scott in this game. I actually loved that. He started Mike Scott. I loved it. I thought this was the perfect opportunity without Joel Embiid for Mike Scott to get out there and to shoot the ball. He has been in an obnoxious funk. Mike, go out there, go up against this bad team, shoot, watch the ball go in. He ended up scoring 21 points, hit 3 threes, and shot 9 of 12 from the field. Now, this is something where it doesn't matter who the opponent is. It's just about watching the ball go through the hoop. When you are in that big of a funk where you are struggling big time, it doesn't matter who you are going up against. Find your shots. Get to your spots. Feel confident. Just watch it. Watch the ball go through. And that's something that can correlate. That's something that can move on to the next game no matter who the opponent is. So hopefully this will get Mike Scott out of whatever he is in because it's been bad and it's been hurting this basketball team. Mike Scott is someone who comes off the bench early in rotation. We need better play out of him. We need more intensity. We need more of that grit because he plays with that, let's be real, that F-U type of attitude. We need that swag defensively. We need it off the bench. So Mike Scott's got to figure it out, and it's affecting him on the other side. His shots not falling is affecting him big time. And that's where it crosses the line. And speaking of players coming off the bench, Matisse Thybulle. Matisse Thybulle rolled his ankle and did not return to the game. Now, according to Derek Bodner, that is the same ankle rolled before a training camp in the informal practices. I don't know what that really means to a bigger degree, but he has rolled that ankle before. We all know playing basketball that rolled ankles happen. How serious is it? We don't know, and we don't know to what extent it's at this very moment, but you have to keep an eye on that, and hopefully it's not too long. Like, I'm hoping he can play against Toronto in this back-to-back. He is a phenomenal defender who disrupts a lot of plays. He gets in the grill of other players. He makes it hard. He makes it harder for the opponent. Losing him off the bench will really hurt this basketball team throughout this stretch. So pray. Pray to the basketball gods that Matisse Thybulle will be okay and he will be able to run up and down the floor against Toronto. The Sixers are now 11-0 at home. The team coming in, they're good. They're real good, and Joel Embiid had that donut the last time they played. Now let's talk about Joel Embiid. He did not look good against Washington. He had a rest day against Cleveland, where the Sixers did not need him. I need to see something. I need to see a response. I have been underwhelmed with Joel Embiid. It's funny, as a fan base, we are all underwhelmed as a whole, right? We are underwhelmed with Joel Embiid. We're disgusted with his performance in Washington. He had, 26 and 21? Like, he's that good that a 26 and 21 night isn't good enough. But it's not good enough. That's not us being too harsh. That's a serious opinion that makes a lot of sense. He had 8 turnovers. He was very lackadaisical. It didn't look like he wanted to go out there and compete. It's a fair thing to say. He put up 0 points against Marc Gasol on this exact team last game. I am so intrigued by how he is going to go out there and play out. How is it going to play out? How is he going to handle this? This is adversity. Not just physically, mentally as well. What is he made of? Is he going to get to the free throw line early? Is he going to make the other team foul him? Get into the post, get into the low block, work Marc Gasol, force him to foul. Is he going to start taking those mid-range jumpers and start dribbling behind his back and creating turnovers? What Joel Embiid are we going to get? What I love about this dominating performance is the fact that the starters got some rest. You got to go into the deep bench so early into the game that Ben Simmons only played 26 minutes. Your starters played in the 20-minute range. So they got some time off. It didn't come down to the wire. It wasn't a fourth quarter game where Tobias Harris had to come up big in the closing minutes. No. So they gained more rest. You had Norvell Pell out there mucking some time. Who else was out there? Trey Burke played a ton of minutes. He had 21 and 8 in 27 minutes? Now, once again, he's going up against a garbage team, but when you're fighting for a spot, when you're competing with one of your teammates for minutes, you got to make the most of your opportunities, no matter when that comes. If that comes in garbage time, then make it happen. So you can't knock him for it. He did what he needed to do. He's showing Coach Brett Brown, I want to play over Neto. I deserve more minutes. Well, no matter who your opponent is, go out there and show it. And he definitely did. Now, I've been saying for a little bit now that Trey Burke is the answer over Neto. That's how I see it. He can create his own shot. He can do a little bit more offensively. So, I'm all in on Trey Burke being over Neto. But then Neto has a 3-3 performance the other game, and he's fighting back too. But at the end of the day, I still personally see Trey Burke's ability offensively to be better for this team in the long run. One thing that bothers me about this game, the free throw shooting. This team is just not good at shooting free throws. And it's concerning to me. It will bite this team. You're going to have to knock down your shots. And if you can't knock them down now in the regular season against teams that don't really matter, what's it going to be like when the pressure is on? It's a playoff game. It's game 3. You want to go up 2-1. You're in another team's building. They're obnoxiously loud. It's the fourth quarter, right? Like, if we can't do it now, what's it going to be like in crunch time moments when players have to make the free throws? I hope they start draining them by then, but under 70% in another game, and it's a constant theme. The biggest constant theme with this team is turnovers. They only had 8. Only 8. I thought that was impressive. When I was looking at the stats after the game, I saw 18. I was jumped out of my seat thinking, are you kidding me? 18 times? And then I realized that was Cleveland's. I'm so used to seeing that number, my eyes just go right to it. I see 18 turnovers. My eyes instantly believe that's the 76ers. Because guess what? That's how it's been so far this season. Well, for the last, 4 years? Furkan Korkmaz didn't put on a show. Why not? This is the type of game that Furkan Korkmaz has to explode. It's the same situation as Trey Burke. If he wants to compete and he wants to show coach that he deserves to play, I'm sorry, but against the Cleveland Cavaliers, I need more than 5 points out of Furkan Korkmaz. Limited minutes, I understand. You need more than 5 minutes there, Corky. Or I'm sorry, more than 5 points there, Corky. I don't know. Just saying. I would have expected more out of our bomber. That's what Brett Brown calls him, right? The bomber. He's trying to grow one. I just don't know if we got one. Ben Simmons in this game showed the fan base what he truly can be. And I've been watching him ever since he's been on the Sixers. Every single game. Some games I come on here and I'm so pumped saying, look, that's what it's all about. Look at that defense. Look at the way he played. It was fantastic. Some games I come on here and I'm thinking, Ben, why? Like, he is so frustrating. But I love him at the same time, right? The way he played in this game against the Cavaliers, and you have to say that, it is against the Cavaliers. That means something. But the way he played is what we need him to be. Now, we haven't seen this before. We haven't seen this type of game. Knocking down 4 jumpers, including a 3-point shot, super downhill, insanely, very intense offensively. To this degree, we haven't seen it. So you can argue that there is some sort of development going on. That this is a step in the right direction with his development. That's a big discussion with him. He hasn't developed anything offensively. The only thing he got better at is defense. That's what everyone claims. Was this a game where you saw the next step? I'm not telling you it is. I'm asking the question. Do you see it that way? Because I saw things in this game that I really haven't seen before. And it wasn't just the turnaround jumper out of the post. Like, I've seen that before, right? But it was the way it looked. It was the eye test. It was the confidence. It was the way he caught that three-pointer. He just let it fly. And then afterwards, he gives the subtle point over as a nice pass, and he backtracks as if it's not a big deal. And throughout the game, as he was starting to hit these jumpers, the fans are still a little bit on that excited mode, right? They're in that excited mode when he does it because they're still a little shocked. But it's starting to dwindle out. It's not being such a big deal anymore. Him knocking down that fadeaway jumper out of the post, nothing but a nice clap from the fans, and then he started to go back on defense. The 3, I understand why that's a bigger deal, but if he does that more, if he's willing to take those shots more, it's not going to be that type of reaction. And I don't know if he's embarrassed by it or not. He should be, because he can do it, right? He can do it. That's why we get on him. At this point, we know he can do it. The way it looked, it's obvious that he can knock them down. There's something in his brain, though, that blocks it out. It comes up against lesser opponents. Will he have the stones to take it against Toronto, against Denver, against Boston? Take it. Your coach is saying, Ben, I want one a game. One a game. That's not a big deal. And if you miss it, you miss it. He missed a jumper in this game. And I remember saying, okay, Ben, fine. Fine by me. Let's go defend. You're allowed to miss a jumper. That's fine. And if he misses the 3, that's fine. Like, think about it. On 2 legit 3s, he's made both. More. We want more. It's been one hell of a ride with this guy, and I'm looking forward for the rest of it. I'm looking forward for the future. And good thing is, the future is a game tomorrow against the Toronto Raptors. It's going to be a bigger test than that. From Joel, building off of what happened last game against the Raptors and having that mental block and having that physical block, apparently, right? I mean, that's a big game for Joel. For Ben Simmons, coming off of this 34-point performance, will he continue to grow and continue to build off of it? Mike Scott, same to him. It's so hard to talk about Tobias's game or Al Horford's game in this Cleveland tilt because it doesn't matter. It didn't matter. It was such a blowout from the beginning. It was insane. They shot 71% from the field at halftime. They had over 70 points. Like, what am I supposed to take away? But moving forward, Tobias has been that guy. He's been super aggressive. He's been the guy with the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter. Will he be able to continue with that role? A lot of questions. And I think in this 3-game stretch, the Sixers will have a lot of answers. And from there, you figure it out. Now, speaking of figuring out, real quick, Jordan Clarkson, there are some rumors involved that the Sixers are interested in Jordan Clarkson. I would absolutely be intrigued by that. I would love for him to come to this bench. We need something. We need to add still. We are still missing some pieces. A nice bench piece like Jordan Clarkson, I'm all in. Let's go out and let's figure it out. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching it. That thumbs up button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.